almost to the day I showed you guys and unveiled my new Project TJ. Now that came after losing my XJ in a house fire. And when I showed you guys this, it was pretty much bone stock. I talked about kind of where I wanted to go with it, you know, what my future plans were and how I liked it so far after I think I had owned it for 2 weeks and been daily driving it. It is still a daily driver, but as you can probably see, and if you've been watching the channel, you know, it is no longer the same Jeep. Now it's nowhere near what I want it to be, but I've made quite a bit of progress in that 1 year. So now I'm gonna pull you guys off the stand and show you exactly what I've done so far. So for those of you that haven't been following the channel, maybe this is the first video you're seeing, I'll post a picture of what the Jeep looked like a year ago. But essentially it was a stock TJ with a few bolt-on things like steps. And it had a big bulky contraption on the front, big bracket for attaching it to the back of an RV, and a few other little things. And in this year, I have done a lot. And at the end of this video, I'll tell you what I'm planning on doing in the future. But we'll go ahead and start with the outside and we'll just go front to back. So first thing you're gonna see are these Hella Value Fit lights. These are an LED light. They come with a cover. They're really not the brightest, especially for what you're, you know, paying for them, but they look the part at least. Sitting behind that is a Badlands Apex 12,000 pound winch with the synthetic line and their thimble. That's mounted on a bumper that I built. There's a video of that on the channel. Essentially, it's just a nice piece of angle iron with some caps and tie-ins and a little bull bar to mount the lights on. Moving to the side, we have a set of Highline fenders. These are a stock fender that I moved up. You had to cut the hood, and then I built this flare for the outside. I really like how it turned out. Again, there's a video for that. On top of the hood, because I lost these attachments to hold the hood down, I switched to a set of hood pins. I really like the look of that. Moving down, we have a set of 35, 1250, 15 Canati Mud Hogs. I love these tires. So far, everything I've put them on, slushy snow, rocks, wet rocks, mud, dirt, everything I've put them on, they have performed great. The one downside is they're a little noisy on the road, but it's an off-road rig. It doesn't need to be perfect. Noises are gonna happen, right? Poke you in there, you can see I got some SFR engine mounts. And when I did that, I added a 1-inch spacer to kind of level everything out. I also have a 1 1/4 inch body lift on this Jeep. You can see that it has been getting used. There's lots of scrapes and bruises under there, big dents on the skid plates. The front axle is still the stock Dana 30 low pinion. I did throw in a Spartan, I believe it was, lunchbox locker that I found on Marketplace for $100. And it really has helped with performance. With that said, you know, you gotta keep in mind that that's a weak link, not the strongest axle, especially on 35s. The Jeep still has the factory 373 gears. I think it does fine. Moving up here, I have a set of Novesight lights on top of a rough country bracket. I have these pointed out towards the ditch. These are probably brighter than the Hella Value Fits on the front. Along the side, I have some affordable off-road rock sliders. There's also an install video of those. You'll notice that the door is now black. This is actually a different set of doors. My dad also has a red TJ, and he had a set of red half doors. So I traded him my full doors for his half doors, and then found these on Marketplace for 500 bucks. So now I have a set of full doors for in the wintertime, and a set of half doors with hard uppers for trail season. These are the QUAFU Quafu quarter panel armor. I have modified them to add clearance for the tires. If you weren't aware, this Jeep is on stock suspension. It does just fine like that. There is some rubbing, definitely some clearance issues. Going forward, it will be getting lifted, but it's been fun to watch it perform in this format. And I also think it gives it a nice aggressive stance. The rear axle is still the factory Dana 35. Moving around the back, you can see I added some round tail lights. There's a video on that as well. There will be a video out soon about this jerry can holder. Holds 2 jerry cans, nice and stout, tight to the Jeep, attached to the factory tailgate. And to run a spare, I built a little tire carrier, little Stinger style tire carrier. I got a 35-inch off my old Jeep mounted on that. And I even got the bike rack on there, so that's kind of cool. We'll poke in here and you can see I have my high lift. I know that's a controversial tool, but I love it and I use it quite a bit. I have it attached to some high lift roll bar mounts that I scored at a yard sale for 10 bucks. Walking around to the other side, you can see I wired in a reverse light down there. And for camping, I built this little interior rack. Holds my cooler nice and tight. Gives me just enough room to access what's inside. So that kind of covers the outside stuff. We got a stock suspension TJ on 35s with high lines and some trimming done. All the armor you need, front and rear bumpers. I haven't changed. That is a Smittybilt bumper that came with the Jeep. And I really like the look of it, so I'm going to keep it. Stock exhaust, stock tank location, all that good stuff. I do have a few more additions to the inside, so we'll cover that now. It came with these seat covers and those floor mats. I added this Cobra CB. We use that on trail runs. I have a phone mount that I added. I got my spot device mounted down here. I have a mic tuning switch panel to control all my accessories. I added a quick release fire extinguisher. I took off the roll bar padding. I hated the look of that, and I want to finish this roll bar off with bringing it to the front and adding some more structure to the back. I am leaving the factory stereo in here, and I bought one of these little Bluetooth receivers, transmitters, so I can play my music through the regular stereo. I think that works great. I really like that. I think that's kind of it for the inside. Not a lot has changed. Still struggling with space, of course, especially when my wife, my daughter, and I are in here. There's definitely not enough room, especially if you're trying to bring gear with you. That has definitely been a struggle. I mentioned that in the intro video. When I first got this Jeep, I went from having an XJ with what I still considered a tight space to having an even smaller vehicle with less space, and it's been a challenge. So we're still trying to come up with good ideas and good ways to work around that. Okay, so we'll pop the hood and I'll show you the 1 or 2 things I've done in there. Oh, I did forget to mention on the front, I have a set of Co-Light LED headlights and a set of cheap marker lights that I installed on here. Again, there's a video of a lot of the stuff that I've done. So this is the factory 4.0. Runs pretty good, does have a little bit of that lifter tick. I used the factory intake tube, cut it down, and added a K&N air filter with a pre-filter. As you can see, it is very dirty in there, especially with the wheel wells being raised. It gets pretty trashed. Still need to kind of work around that. In the video with the Highlines, you would see that I lifted everything, built brackets, just to make it all work. So yeah, that's it. It's pretty much still a stock TJ with some easy bolt-ons and 35s. Still stock suspension. All right, so let's talk about the future. What do I want to do to this Jeep going forward? Right now, it works pretty good as is. I'm definitely on a tight budget, so a lot of the projects I have are going to happen very slowly. But essentially, I want a stretched TJ on like 40-inch tires. I have a set of half-ton axles to put under here. Most recently, I bought a fuel cell for the back, and I have a Barnes skid plate for the center section that is for their long arm kit. So it has the brackets already pre-installed, or at least slotted, so I can weld those brackets in. So my goal with this Jeep is to have about a 3-inch stretch in the front. I would love to have a 40-inch tire that sits level with that front of the frame. It will get lifted. I have a set of 3.5-inch coils off of another Jeep that someone gave me, and I think I can make those work in the front. They're dual rate to lift it up. In the back, I'll have to play around with heights because I'll be adding the bracket from Barnes that moves your coil back. In the back, I want at least a 6-inch stretch. I would like for that tire to sit either level with the back or even a little bit further, which will require a lot of modifications. I do rub right here, even though I've gone through and clearanced, it still rubs pretty good, on hard obstacles at least. I have a lot of little projects to try to make all my gear and stuff fit in here better. I'll be sticking with the 4.0 unless it were to crap out on me. If that ever happens, I will definitely want to switch to an LS. I think that would be awesome. If money, time, and talent wasn't a concern, I would want to turn this into a Jeep truck. I think that would be awesome. If I were to do that, I would be building some sort of half cab that comes back to here. You can see I was tracing out that line last night, talking to Jeremy about it. Finish off that cab corner and then have a bed that comes out to about here with the tire stretched, give it a real nice long wheelbase on the much bigger tires. And I think that would look great and it would perform well. I could have a bed rack and a drawer system and all sorts of stuff to make it a multi-purpose vehicle, which is what I use it for. I want to be able to hit hard trails, but I also want to be able to do stuff like today we're out camping. And trying to fit all my camping gear in here was a real struggle. Yesterday, we left Jeremy's big burbs here and went and burned down the trail some more just to explore. And it was kind of a struggle to fit both of us in there, even with just the cooler. Other little projects include wanting to add belt-driven onboard air, either a York 210 or just a Sandin compressor. When I do that, I'll definitely make a video, but I'll be making a custom bracket to run that compressor. Out back, I want to add a different tire carrier. This is definitely fine for what I'm doing right now, but this is a fold down, which is a real pain in the butt if you gotta get into anything out of the back. And being able to open this window would have made camping a lot easier. Again, that's going to change though when I add the fuel cell, because that will be in the way. But I want to add a swing out tire carrier that goes around the back that I can still mount jerry cans on. It'll sit tighter to the body and be able to mount like a 40-inch spare. So to wrap up this video, I'm very pleased with all of the additions I've been able to make in the last year. A lot of body armor stuff, a lot of stuff for just looks and usability. Now going forward, it's time to start focusing on suspension, paving the way for much bigger tires. I have a set of axles to build, a high pinion Dana 44 and a 9-inch out of an old Ford pickup. Those will be getting lockers front and rear, and any additions that they need, you know, axle shafts, stuff like that to make them nice and stout to handle the big tires. I'll definitely be adding bead locks in the future whenever I do go to much bigger tires. So the possibilities are endless with this type of platform. I can cut it in half and make it a TJ6. I can make it into a pickup. I could just stretch it the way it is. And if you ask me on any given day, my answer for what's next is a little bit different. Some days it's the pickup, some days it's just a stretch, some days it's TJ6. The TJ6 platform, and which is essentially an LJ if you don't know, and the pickup platform would definitely give me a lot more space for the stuff I do, but I need to be able to keep a back seat for my daughter, at least until she's big enough to ride up front. Overall, I've been very happy with this Jeep. It's definitely not the XJ I had, and sometimes I struggle with that. I do go back and forth with wanting to build another project or something different. Me and Jeremy have been talking a lot lately about maybe building a Suburban just for camping and stuff like that, and then make this more of just a trail rig, so when I'm going out on hard trails or one-night camping trips, I take my built TJ. If I'm taking the family camping or going on a longer trip, I have a Suburban that's on maybe 35s. The biggest drawback to this Jeep to me is the size. For one, trying to fit all my gear, and two, I think it kind of just looks goofy the way it is, being so short. I'm used to an XJ, which is a lot longer wheelbase and the body's bigger. So this kind of looks goofy to me. I do think that moving the tire as far back as I can, the axle as far back as I can, and doing a little stretch in the front would improve the aesthetics a lot, which, you know, I know it's silly to focus on looks, but I do want it to look cool and look the way I want it to, as well as perform really good. Anyway, thanks for tuning into the channel. Thanks for watching this video. If you hadn't watched the first intro video of this Jeep from a year ago, go watch that and take a look at how far it's come. It's been really cool to watch it, you know, grow and improve. And there's still a lot more to come. So subscribe and keep watching, because I'm gonna do a lot more projects on this. If you haven't watched some of our previous videos, I do have this TJ on some pretty hard trails in North Idaho. And we were all really impressed with how well it did, considering that it is stock suspension. Of course, I'm dragging on everything. That belly pan hangs really low. The fuel tank hangs really low. Both things I plan on addressing. But at the end of the day, it did those trails just about as good as my XJ did. In fact, it crawled up a couple obstacles that the XJ didn't. Again, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for tuning in. Go check out some of my other videos. Watch what the TJ has done so far, and keep tuning in to see where it goes in the future. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.